Hello artists, and welcome to Drawing Level D. Let's get started. So in front of me here I have my experiment page open, ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and get my name at the top and then circle Drawing Level D. I'm going to go ahead and set up my paper with a 1 and then a line and a 2. All right, let's go ahead and read off what our learning goals are for the day. I can shade using white, the color of the paper, gray, and black. I can use erasers to keep my lines clean. I can add dark shadows, and I can make the blend smooth using a blending stump. All right, so I have here the level D and E bucket here. They're very similar materials that you're going to be using for these. So inside here we have an ebony pencil. The graphite inside an ebony pencil is not like the graphite in your regular pencil. They are different. The ebony pencil is going to have a type of graphite in it that is much softer and it is easier to blend together. The lead inside your regular pencil is an HB type lead, which just means it's harder and it's going to make harder marks into the paper. We've got some mini little sharpeners here. We've got this white piece of paper looking thing. They're going to be kind of dirty in places, and that's okay. This is called a blending stump. This is going to make your pencil look really smooth. We've got something here called an eraser shield, and then we've also got these black mechanical looking things. They are mechanical erasers, a pencil eraser, and inside is just a very small eraser. It works just like a mechanical pencil. You push on the end to make it come out. You don't want it very long because it will like break and kind of flop all over, and then when you need to put it away, you're gonna push and then just push it in. All right, and that helps to keep the eraser safe inside. So I'm gonna get it ready to go. All right, what we're gonna start with first here is our ebony pencil. We're gonna go from dark to light. One of our learning goals was creating black, gray, and white, or the color of the paper. So we're gonna do that with a little, I call them tornadoes, but we're gonna start dark by kind of pushing hard, and then as I come down in a tornado, I'm going to ease the pressure off my hand with how I'm holding the pencil. So I go from dark to light. I'm going to do that a couple different times till I'm getting a nice smooth transition from the dark to light so that I know how hard to press. So again, dark to light, couple little tornadoes. It's gonna feel weird in your hand taking all that pressure off the paper to get this really light gray, but I want you to practice it a couple times. All right. From here, we're going to learn how to use a blending stump. What a blending stump does is it grounds the graphite into the paper, and that makes it look really smooth, okay? So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to use it like a pencil, and I'm going to just kind of press on it and go over where my graphite was. And as I go down, even though my tornado has stopped, because there's graphite on the end, I can actually keep using it to make these wonderful lines, and I can use it on its own as well because it has the graphite in this blending stump paper, and it's just grounding it more into the paper that I'm using. Again, I'm going to try it again. Again, you can do different versions of the smoothing. You can press really hard for a really big smooth, or if you want a little bit more texture in your graphite, you can push really softly, okay? So I'm going to get you nice and close here so you can see exactly what that looks like. You can see the feather edging there. All right, now what I'm going to do here is we're going to play around with the erasers and eraser shields, okay? So I'm going to create myself a dark patch, okay? A dark patch here. And normally when we use erasers, we use them in a way that is to get rid of things, like to fix a mistake. But we're actually going to use them in an artful way. So I'm going to take this pencil eraser here, and I want you to erase a letter. Okay, erase a letter. It could be the letter of your first name, whatever you want to do. But I want you to erase a letter That way you can practice using it in an artful way. You're gonna notice it's gonna turn gray. The darker you push with the Ebony pencil to make your dark patch, the more gray instead of white that your erase will be. And then let's talk about this eraser shield. So the eraser shield, what it does is, here's the most basic way to use it. It's to keep your lines clean. We like clean lines. You could use the pencil eraser to make this edge really smooth, or you could use your chunky eraser. Sometimes for bigger areas, I like to use the chunky eraser. It's kind of a little easier. But now instead of that really rough line I have, now I have this nice, even, smooth line again. All right. Let's talk about the stuff in the middle. I'm going to create a lighter gray patch again. And I notice as I go down, like, it's not super filled in. This blending stump is going to make that nice smooth effect, so it looks kind of all the same, and it gets rid of all those graphited texture lines that sometimes we just don't want. With my eraser shield this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil eraser and I'm going to use some of the patterns inside to create a purposeful erase so that it looks like more of an artistic. I'm using it in an artistic way, not just to erase mistakes, but in an artistic way. It's a really nice effect. You can get lighter or darker areas depending upon what you want. All right, once I've practiced these basic skills, I want you to work on mini artwork at the bottom. Remember, mini artwork can be anything you want, but I do need to see these skills. First, you're going to use your pencil just to plan your artwork out. Just draw out the outlines. I would go ahead and use your Ebony pencil to draw it out here. So I drew out each square and kind of where I was going to put everything. You're going to need to create some black areas, some really dark areas, some gray areas. You could try medium gray and light grays as well. And then some light areas or white areas, right? Maybe some white areas where you just don't use the pencil at all, and some white areas where you erased a little bit. And then I also want you to blend. I want you to use that blending stump to get those really nice smooth blendings. And the last thing is using the eraser and the eraser shield to clean up your lines, right? Have some nice crisp lines, but then also adding in those textures, either freehand or with the eraser shield. Happy creating!